I have made videos in the past on my channel regarding why the British state and English councils have a problem with the flag behind me, the flag of St George, and the Union Jack when patriots fly the flag for their own purposes rather than the curated events like the Olympics, England football matches, or when we have a jubilee or other royal events. It's about control. Never forget that. They're happy to wheel out the flag when it's a public event. They're happy to wheel out the flag when they're in control of the narrative or the story behind why the flag is being flown. But if you step outside of that purview, they will come for you. Now, my branch of Restore Britain have done some excellent work. I cannot take credit, but I have been given permission to share this information on my channel, which is what I'm going to do here. The council that we're referring to is Chester and Cheshire West, up in the northwest of England. And we've submitted some Freedom of Information requests regarding the Operation Raise the Colours. Now, it's not specifically that organisation, but it's in keeping with the spirit of what they were doing, which was flying the flag to show patriotism. And what we found out, it reeks of fear and it reeks of jobs worths in local councils with too much free time, spending my money and your money on things that really they shouldn't be bothering with. It's not for them to decide where we're flying the flag. I should be able to fly the flag behind me and the Union Jack or any flag of the native British in this United Kingdom in any which way I want. It's as simple as that. These are just my views. Your mileage may vary. Now, specifically, this council is a Labour controlled council, so no surprises there. This is exactly what you're going to get with a Labour run council. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the particulars of what's actually been found out, and I'm going to share that now. So thank you for watching. Two patriots in Ellesmere Port put up the St George's flags on lampposts across their community on the eve of St George's Day, the day before England celebrates our patron saint. Not for money, not for profit, not to cause offence, but to honour the country or part of the country, depending on your point of view, on one of its most important days. Cheshire West and Chester Council's response was to treat it as a criminal matter. Read that again. The St George's flag being put up around this United Kingdom is a criminal matter, according to the Labour Party. So we continue. Contractors in masks arrived in a hired van after dark to take the flags down. The deputy leader of the council, Karen Shaw, that name should ring a bell or an alarm. She was the Labour candidate in Runcorn and Helsby when the by-election was here last year, and she lost to Sarah Pochin. She admitted in writing that the contractors broke their own approved method in a statement. One of them stood on a private garden wall. She suspended the removal operation pending investigation, or at least that's what she said to us. However, the flags were removed anyway. So we continue. 38 grand for 500 flags are 76 quid each. No competitive tender, no procurement process, just a private contractor handed public money, my money, your money, to tear down a British flag, the English flag, in the middle of the night. This is a disgrace. This is an outrage. We've got all these different flags, whether that's the Pallywinker flags down south or the Pride flags all over the place. They can fly anywhere in the UK, but a British flag, a national symbol, is a problem if it upsets the right people, because the right people aren't shaping the narrative. It is about control. It is about coercion. This is disgusting. I don't want a penny of my money paying for nonsense like this. Comment below if you think I'm onto something. Comment below if you agree with what I'm saying here. So we continue. They called it a criminal matter. The council sent formal letters to 2 residents inviting them to voluntary interviews under caution. Now, if you don't know how the police work or people acting like that, what they will do is they will ask you ahead to an interview on a voluntary basis. If that ever happens to you, you are able and you should record every single thing that is said and done. That is your right. So they were invited under caution to go. This is how it works. And if you refuse, they usually turn around and say, well, we're going to come back and we're going to arrest you. And this was done under PACE, the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984. The process is the punishment here. They want to make you feel like a criminal. They want you to feel like you've done something wrong, so you never do it again. Always be aware of your rights. Always be aware of what you can and can't do. This is a disgrace, and it is about us being colonised by our colonial masters, in this case, the lefty libtards that run the country, and if you step out of what they want you to do, they will try to weaponise the law to make sure that you think twice to do it again. The law is used for people suspected of committing crimes. The person who conducted the interviews was not a council officer. He was a subcontractor. He had used the council-headed paper. He had used council email address. He called himself an investigating officer of Cheshire West and Cheshire Council. We asked who he was, who engaged him, and how much he was paid, and what authority he had. No answer. Then we continue. They lied in writing twice. June 2026. No investigations, enforcement action, or prosecutions are held. And then second of all, the Public Protection Service has more recently enforced the provision in relation to the flag offences. Both are from the same council, both in writing, directly contradicting each other. We have formally demanded they explain the contradiction. So we continue. That is 11,675 to search their records. We asked how many complaints about the flags they had received. They refused. They said it would cost the amount I've just mentioned, over 11 grand. They claimed they needed to manually review over 27,000 lighting column service requests. We asked whether they searched regulatory services. We asked whether they had used a single keyword. Asked whether they typed in flag into their own management system. This was not answered. Again, they want to be as obstructive and unhelpful as possible, so you don't ask for the appropriate information in freedom of information requests like this. So we continue. The 2 men were put through a formal interview under caution, under PACE. One was handed a fixed penalty notice. This was not for flying the flag of England, the country which we're in. It was an act of national pride on the eve of St. George's Day that's been established. It was for fly posting, the offence of illegal advertising. So if you're using the flag of St. George in a way that they don't agree with, they will categorise it as an illegal act, fly posting, advertising. What are we advertising? Well, we're advertising England, obviously. We're advertising the country we're in. England. Welcome to England. This is England. Take it in. If you've got a problem with the flag, even if you're a council worker or a Labour libtard, you don't have to work for the government. You don't have to work for His Majesty's government. All right? You don't have to do that. If it's a problem, you can always leave the UK. All right? So we continue. They work for us, every one of them. Well, yeah, completely agreed with this. It is public money, it is my money, it is your money, and they want to intimidate us, and they want us to make us feel like we are not entitled to fly the flag. They are accountable to us, and again, they don't like that. One of the only good things Tony Blair did, freedom of information requests. They spend public money on behalf of the public. They use mass contractors to take down the English flag. They spent 38k of our money doing it. They opened a criminal investigation into 2 men. They refuse to say who gave the order, and they refuse to say where the instruction came from, whether it was higher up. I think this would have been a blanket response all over the country for the Uniparty by the civil service. I don't even think that Tuti Ikea or his front bench would have had anything to do with this directly, because then they have plausible deniability. This would have come from the top of the civil service, in my opinion. This is just part of the playbook. This is how they do things. This is what we're up against. This is why, when Restore Britain gets in, they need to dismantle the civil service brick by brick and start over from scratch. And then we continue. We're not going away. We have submitted a formal internal review demanding answers to 7 specific questions in the Council because they have refused to arrest them. If these answers do not come, the information goes to the Information Commissioner's officer. Every non-answer, every deflection, every contradiction is documented and on the record. We have 5 further FOI requests outstanding, with responses due in the next 5 days. Fly your flag, stand proud, and don't let them basically make you afraid to love your country. Patriotism is not a crime. So I'm going to end this here and come back to the main screen. Just think of all that money that's been used. Just think of all that money that's been wasted on stupid things that don't matter. This is the tip of the iceberg. If it's happening here, it's happening all over this United Kingdom. It's happening whenever you step out of line or fly the flag in a way that they don't like. They will use their processes to try to browbeat you into submission. We cannot allow this to happen. Once again, I want to give credit to the people in my Restore Britain branch that have got this information and made these very nice slides. Now, you let me know, do you think this is isolated to Oxford and here in Cheshire, or do you think it is all over Britain? Let me know. I know it's happening up in Scotland as well now. Used to be you could fly the Saltire in Scotland and the SNP loved you for it. Now, they don't like it so much because they're not in control of the narrative or the way that it's being used. All opinions are valid. You may think I'm wrong. I invite you to debate in the comments. Have a good day, and thank you for watching as always.